All right, it's time for another double documentation of the fuckery. And yes, I know I just put this on the Easy Reefers channel, and I apologize. But I did want to give any people who wonder about investing in me, wonder just whether or not, there's the line between genius and insanity. And you wonder whether or not I'm on one side or the other of it. That's perfectly understandable. Well, what you got to realize is that I intentionally play hopscotch right a fucking cross it. Okay? And that's because I have always been my entire life, and I don't mean to sound arrogant or I don't mean to belittle people, but I've been the smartest fucker in every room as long as I can remember. I've spent my entire life surrounded by dumbasses. And while there's been people who are experts in individual things, I find that people can't focus on one thing without becoming clueless to all other things. And it's just, I'm in effectively another classroom right now. This is YouTube, right? I'm surrounded by, peers of my approximate age group and interest. And in high school, people thought I was cool. I was popular. I could hang out with preppy kids. I could hang out with headbangers. I could hang out with black people. I could hang out with Mexican people. I could hang out with Asian people. I got along with everybody. And one of the reasons is because people generally looked up to me when they were in class with me, because I would help guide the lesson. Let's face it, most teachers don't spend their entire life studying the subject that they teach. I've spent most of my life studying, contemplating, thinking, pondering, theorizing, testing. I'm a fucking born mad scientist, man. Who happens to have some pretty significant spiritual powers, by the way. And like I said, I may just be a psychic who's been driven crazy by alien intervention into thinking that he's the baby Jesus, only he knows better than to think that's the name. I don't care. I don't care what you think. As long as the Russians think I'm fucking crazy, I'm not going to have somebody showing up at my door putting a gun to my head. So I'm glad that God convinced me to be a crazy person. I'm glad that this is all so very obvious that I have these abilities, that somehow YouTube sees me as such a threat because of them. But I really do ask that anyone who thinks that I'm like Trump, where I'm just like saying I can be presidential, but I really can't. I mean, I can be a normal fucking customer service representative, y'all. I've done it. I've worked on the counter, I've worked the phones. I know how to be a normal person. I was never under the impression that YouTube was a place where I had to be normal. And I thought that it would both increase my marketability and my safety to just let my crazy go, baby. And well, the fact is, the events of 2011 actually happened. The events that I show on live streams that should not happen, that no human being should be capable of, those actually happened too. And as I've said, I remain as skeptical about me as I would insist that any of my viewers, or even people who might want to call themselves disciples, although I'd prefer not have any kind of proper term, but effectively, people who are blinded by the world and then find the truth because of me, I still want you to be skeptical. But at least give me credit for being a fucking mad genius, at the very least. Because MSNBC, CNN, Fox, ABC, CBS, all these people have professional former CIA analysts working for them. And none of them came up with this obvious analysis, this obvious fact, until I actually got a message correspondence and actually exchanged a few messages with one of the producers on MSNBC. If I can one-hand it, Control Alt Delete. Nothing. Control Alt Delete. Nothing. Maybe numlock was on. Control Alt Delete. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. No response. No response. Nothing. What we were just talking about, how last, or 6 months, 7 months ago, there was a Russian state-of-the-art military hardware parading through the streets of North Korea. And I have, I can't move the mouse and show you the folder, but I have a plethora of evidence to this effect. And just as I was making a further analytical point that I hadn't covered on previous videos about these being older than these, less state-of-the-art, and I was about to start giving the detailed analysis on exactly how I know that and how you can tell by the images available. That's when my computer froze. And this has happened time and time again when basically I get to new important information and the fucking computer goes bye-bye. So we're going to kill it. And and let's go ahead and interrupt post a couple times. Get us a nice fresh boot sector rewritten so that we don't wind up with any surprises as Windows loads. See, what happens is when your computer first becomes infected, it's generally not completely infected until next time you reboot. And there's still chance that it'll be deleted, or the antivirus will be able to find it, or it can actually be rendered inert by rewriting the boot sector in which its continuance was programmed into the next boot cycle. So if its design was to attach to your webcam or your sound card or whatever, it would have done so during the next boot cycle. By interrupting your boot cycle 5 times, you cause the standard CMOS in any PC-based platform to tell Windows to rewrite its boot sector from the last known good configuration. Which means that any changes that have been made in the past 2 boot cycles are undone. Oh. No. Why would I go through all the trouble of creating my terribly unhackable passwords and then just type it right in front of you? So, anyways, look at my third wall. Oh, look at all the teleprompter that I'm reading. Oh. Is there an Easter basket in the middle of the floor? Oh shit, I need to be mixing up water. So this is the space that I stare into while I'm speaking. Because this is where I'm sitting. So this is where I fucking stare. There's the laptop. So you see me with my head to the side like that. And just looking at the fish tanks. Fish tank, fish tank. TV. TV, fish tank. Fish tank in the bottom. Check my water level. Is the tub light supposed to be on or supposed to be off? Fish tank, fish tank. Oh yeah, what was I saying? But anyways. Okay. And the laptop is back. I think of all the computers I've ever had to resurrect over and over again, like I've had to reinstall Windows and had to like keep it from crashing that way over and over again. This is probably, I mean, I didn't download enough porn when I was 19 to like to even compare to the computer problems I have now. Oh look, the mouse works. How about that? But anyways, there's my thing. There we go. Hi. So if you happen to be one of my wonderful inquisitors from Australia, I do welcome your scrutiny, but take everything with a grain of salt, especially things that you've learned before encountering me, because I'm sure you didn't learn that North Korea was being supplied by Russia. I just proved that, and my laptop got foobarred for it. And this is what I've been having to deal with for the past 3 years. And what I've had to continue to deal with even while I tried to stop talking politics altogether on the Easy Reefer channel here. And just moved on to a little quiet little corner of the internet, my old personal channel. It's now got over 50 subscribers, but it used to have like only 30. So just like, just let me and my little friends talk. Let us talk amongst ourselves. It's pretty obvious to me that other than direct linking or otherwise garnered interest, that my channel really isn't seen by a lot of new people. And you would think, as an American, on the non-media, technology-only platform, not supposed to be involved in any type of political censorship or prioritization. Just a technology platform. An American company, no less. And me, an American. Simply trying to put my analytical skills to use for America. Now, this includes a broad spectrum of subjects, some of which I understand most people would not feel comfortable with. But the fact of the matter is, this is YouTube. And this is where you go to find people talking about those subjects. And I, forgive me, I found a bunch of people talking a bunch of nonsense that was sowing hatred against Western institutions as a whole. And also showing great skepticism as to the idea that we, human beings, are in control of pollution, global warming, environmental degradation as a whole. Now, whether it's the old John Hagee cliche of we can just keep polluting because God's going to come back and fix it all for us, or like the Illuminati really controls the weather, and the CIA, shadow government, and blah, 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 or the aliens, or whatever, you will find that as crazy as I seem to be, I have harnessed my crazy to speak sense to these things. Like HARP. High Altitude Aerial Radar Penetration System. It's not a magical earthquake machine. Seriously, people. Do you need the crazy guy on YouTube that thinks he's Jesus, but doesn't, have that name? I'm just a reincarnated ancient fucking being that has something to do with the little story of Jesus. But don't diminish me, and don't diminish yourselves by convoluting who I am with who a bunch of crazy people have been paid by Russia to pretend to be. Who I am should be regardless. My spiritual beliefs, my religion, because that's what it all comes down to, my existential philosophy of my own identity, should have no bearing on whether or not I receive any grants or whether or not anybody does any business with me, including YouTube. But the fact remains, whatever gifts, memories, or insights I possess, I have been quite forthright about my own skepticism regarding them, just as I have been completely committed to putting them to good use for humanity. So, suffice to say, to judge me for the gifts that I bring to bear is kind of a, let's say, it's either a pre-programmed response or it's an over-emotional response based on extreme personal insecurity. And again, neither of these things should be taken into consideration when considering grants or business investments, or whether or not I should be able to use a technology platform. Anyways, the fact of the matter is, when it comes to analyzing Russia, when it comes to predicting what was going to happen accurately, which I did, I wasn't going in the Bible and saying, this thing means this. And that's why the Russians are coming. And we all need to repent and tell people that they're horrible people for being gay. And that's not me, man. That just ain't me. What I was laying out was a series of data sets that equated to, in my opinion, a psychological profile of sorts, indicating a clear tactical and motivational connection between different entities as they were colluding to commit psychological warfare against the West. And I laid all this out in an evidence-based fashion. And when it came to the whole magical mumbo-jumbo thing, that was mostly geared toward people who, let's face it, I assume are some sort of warlocks, are some sort of evil, knowing people. I don't think, and this is just a, correct me if I'm wrong, a logical calculation on my part, I don't think that they would have been capable of recognizing me as a threat if they didn't have an understanding. Like, it's more than just, how would they know I was right if they weren't guilty onto it? I mean, how would they know I was onto them if they weren't guilty? I was trying to say two different damn sentences at the same time. But it's more like, why would they have gone to such extreme measures to suppress me if they weren't spiritually aware on some level? And also, another thing factored into that, and I was getting ahead of myself by attributing it all to that, right? There's another level of awareness that I was playing to. And I did so wanting to see if they would react if I proved to them that I am in fact an ancient reincarnated being. And I did so, and they reacted. And it makes me think that their knowledge is older than most Americans, most of our leadership's knowledge. They have a level of wisdom that we simply don't have access to in this country. Well, not without yours truly. And let me just say this. The reason why I have to, as a matter of necessity, carry no inhibitions, at least in this frame, when it comes to my identity and what I know and why I know it, it's because the price is too high for me to be prideful about my perceived sanity. There's too much at stake. If it takes me going crazy and losing all of my friends to see the danger that my country's in, to see the danger that Western civilization is actually in, and I'm not using Western civilization as a euphemism for white people. No, I mean the intercultural, liberal society that is Western civilization. If I have to lose all my friends, which I haven't, if I have to lose my, if my wife left me, which she didn't, she was one of the encouraging factors here, it would still be worth it. The only thing that made it not worth it was YouTube. They were out waiting for Paul Revere. You see, what YouTube has been, and I was going to get to this point on the stream, and I will once I get it back up, was basically a civilian intelligence network. And when Russia was invading Ukraine, Ukrainians were posting material that Westerners were analyzing and helping us keep track of what the hell Russia was doing. And Russia, at some point, just cracked down on it, and YouTube helped them. And that was, well, right after I started my channel. But while one can imagine me losing all my friends and becoming some sort of a recluse because I had some holy vision that led me to think I was somebody who I wasn't, fact remains, my wife and I reunited at this point, at 2011, when I reawoken to who I was. And she's from Yugoslavia. She's Serbian. We haven't allowed each other, she hasn't allowed me to do anything that doesn't make logical sense. Nothing without evidence. She knows exactly how not full of shit I am when I say I am extremely magically powerful. And I don't care if you don't believe in magic. All you need to do is look at my past live stream from this camera, and your little disbelief just goes out the window. I'm sorry. If that were a recording, you might hope to be able to explain what you see. But it's a live stream, so you can't. But I have accepted that I may not know, the possibilities that I'm not considering. I've accepted that maybe I am just crazy. I don't think I would have friends visiting from New Orleans. I don't think I would be such good friends with my neighbors. I don't think my wife would continue to encourage me every time I try to say I want to stop doing this, because it'd be much easier just to convince myself that it was all a delusion. If I'm going crazy, and insanity is what it takes to see the danger that we're all in, from Russia, from the politics that lead to the environmental degradation that we're suffering today. And my Australian friends, please trust me when I say we cannot address this problem without addressing the political situation in the Confederate States of the United States of America. That's all I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make a business smorgasbord, not a ripple that will start a wave. I'm talking about just throwing some bricks in the water, okay? Y'all want to pass that up because you want to judge me for my personal spiritual beliefs, even though I can prove that they're valid. Well, all I can say is good luck saving the world without me. Whether I'm here for a reason or whether some greater force, aliens, angels, God, whatever, Puff the Magic Dragon, I don't care. Something made me become aware of what I'm aware of so that I could see what I saw. And when it comes to the expertise that I have in providing solutions to these problems, fate chose well, because I've been studying these things that we need to address now my entire life. I've been studying military technology my entire life. I've been studying the ocean and the environment and ecological cycles my entire life. I've been studying design and engineering and management, logistics, human resources. Got all the experience necessary to run the program that is needed in the business community in the South. And if the word gets out that I am me, nothing but good will come from it. The worst that could happen is world peace. But to believe me on something like that, you'd have to understand that 3 years ago, I said that the Russians would be behind a chauvinist conspiracy that would keep a woman from gaining power. I said I would bend all of reality to make you see that Mary Magdalene had the same thing happen to her 2,000 years ago. Well, Hillary Clinton didn't get tied to a fucking post and have her throat cut, but tomato, tomato. And just don't make me list the different things that I've snapped my fingers and made happen. I understand your skepticism. If it weren't for the fact that I could do this, I wouldn't give myself a shot in hell of actually having any significant knowledge or power. But when you can say, I'm struggling to explain this ancient thing that only I can remember, and then you ask your daughters that you had with the goddess before the beginning of time to make a movie for you to explain this thing that you just can't be bothered with, and you snap your fingers, and then 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year later, a movie comes out covering the exact subject matter that you required. That's happened over and over again through the documentation that I provided on this channel. That's science fact, ladies and gentlemen. That's something that I have to deal with. That's something that I have to face personally when I consider my own existence. And that's something you have to deal with as being a fact when considering whether or not to dismiss me as a crazy person or someone with a considerable level of gifts who can actually be of service to you. Just trying to help. I love this world. I love anyone who cares about it. And I'm just trying to take care of the ones I love. And as little as I know fear, the one thing that truly frightens me is having all the solutions right there, waiting to be implemented. And for humanity to reject them. And to just sit here and watch it all die. That's the one thing I fear. Whether it be through catastrophic warfare, an ever-consuming red tide just killing everything, or the eventual disaster that global warming would bring. If I am who I think I am, who I've basically proven myself to be, the only way I can really put it into perspective for you is, imagine yourself as a parent. And you've got a child, let's just say one child. I could make this an extensive metaphor, provide one different type of child for each type of person this day. But suffice to say, picture yourself as a parent, and your children are heroin addicts. They don't know how to fend for themselves. They don't know how to take care of themselves. They don't know what they're doing to their bodies. They don't know how to clean up after themselves. They don't know how to feed themselves. No matter how much you try to teach them, they just don't listen. And you know, because they don't listen, unless they start listening, one of these days, you're going to watch them get buried. That's what my age of self makes me feel. Because let's face it, if you're reincarnated of any considerable distance in time, most of the people around you are your offspring. So no matter who you are, no matter what significance you bear as a being, if you are an ancient who is reincarnated, the people around you are your children, and you have a responsibility to take care of them. That's the responsibility I feel. That's why I'm trying to solve all these problems. And if anyone had a better idea, people wouldn't wait till after I come up with the ideas to have the ideas. People didn't even figure out why corals were bleaching until I started to make a fuss about the fact that you didn't really know why corals were bleaching. You didn't. Nobody knew. Everybody was talking about temperature. All about temperature. All about temperature. Nope. Phosphates and nitrates. It's the chemical composition of the water overall that determines the different types of zooxanthellae. It's a very intricate, balanced process. And after over a year of me talking about this, talked about it on the Lost Begotten channel, talked about it after I'd converted it to the Easy Reefers channel, now we have some individual scientists talking to the Great Barrier Reef scientific community overall about this being the case. One fucking seminar, and I'm sure it's burgeoned out from there because it's obviously the problem. But the fact of the matter is, you're not going to fix the Great Barrier Reef without fixing the Mississippi River and the Gulf of Mexico. You can't do it. All the liberal Democrat Green Party environmentalist crap in the world, no matter how many miles per gallon your car gets, no matter how many solar panels we put on our roofs, until we make a business and make it profitable to make food without polluting, when we get the farmer in the south of the United States to go from thinking we need to use all the cow to thinking we need to use all the cow's poo too. All the poo. We need to use all the poo. We need all the poo. I just felt like saying that, sorry. Wanted to see if my kids were awake. Alright. But like I said, man, the very idea. Oh no, we can't let him help. Because he might actually be. Yeah, might actually be. Might actually be me. I'm the guy. Yeah, I'm him. Born with the scars and all. Just visible enough to make me think. Sorry. I'm sorry for actually being him. I'm sorry that there's evidence enough to convince even me. As skeptical as I am about things, I'm open-minded. That's the difference between me and most people. Not terribly stubborn when it comes to exploring new ideas. I'm skeptical about them. I require great deals of evidence, but it takes someone being closed-minded and therefore rejecting the plethora of evidence to understand, or to fail to understand, that yes, I'm the guy, my face appears on the clouds, I fucking make the stars move and call them by name quite often. I'm sitting there picturing what I would have expected Jesus to do when I was a kid, like thinking like, okay, so if I take Jesus outside and I tell him like he can just sit there and point and just name one star, all the stars will just sit there and name them all for me. No, probably tell you to go fuck yourself and stop wasting my time. There's a difference between could do and would do. When I go outside and look at the stars, it's never for more than a few minutes, really. I don't have the balcony in the city anymore. Chair sitting on it. I have to actually go outside and look up. That shit hurts my neck. But I do enjoy putting on shows for people who have proven their faithfulness. I mean, what do you say to excuse your disbelief when you're looking at someone right now who, if you proved yourself to me, and anyone who has would tell you, that I can make the stars move? Last I checked, scientifically speaking, the stars were not supposed to move. Now, if I were any other person, right, or if I, before my awakening, had met someone who said, okay, now hold your head really still. Is it moving? And I sat there and watched a fucking star. A star. Like a nebula or a star. Sitting there going. I would think that that person who showed me the stars move, or say that person who could repeatedly seem to change the weather with his gestures and focus of thought, that person who could snap his fingers and make TV shows, that person whose face appeared in the clouds over and over again, that person who has the very whore of Babylon on photo in the retina of his eye. I would think that maybe they had some more wisdom that was worth learning. Like, seriously. I would see somebody do these things, and I'd be like, I should probably investigate. Just speaking as a scientist, just speaking as a skeptical observer here. Because, you know, frankly, as far as the whole magical mumbo-jumbo thing, it's done more to convince me than it could ever do to convince anyone else, I think. And that's speaking in terms of, you know, the actual purpose for things, right? You see, People who require miracles to believe in something, their belief is basically worthless, and it only would last for a little while to begin with. So to me, it's served two purposes. It's warned the enemy of humanity who exactly I was, which, doesn't seem to have worked out so well. But more than anything, it's made me stop being so timid about things. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe that's what's meant to be. But it leads me to two inescapable possibilities. One is that I actually am this person who I remember being, or the other is that some greater force that controls the entire universe that we live in has convinced me of this for a purpose. Because not only have I seen the universe continue to try to convince me of this, but I've seen that it is for a purpose. And who am I? Who would I be as a skeptical human being to say, fuck you, universe, I got better shit to do than try to save the world? So, frankly, dismissing me just makes you a shitty person. I don't care who you are or what you believe. Dismissing me makes you the reason why the world is gonna wind up not turning out so well. Learn to be more accepting of other people. Learn to love people who have different beliefs than you. Learn to learn from them as they learn from you. I am not stubborn, arrogant, or prideful. I take advice. I recognize good advice. I recognize when I'm wrong. I take corrections and I am grateful for them. I am grateful for constructive criticism. I'm not grateful for fucking Russian trolling, but that's beside the point. But don't confuse me with somebody who's hard to work with or unmanageable. Don't confuse me with somebody who's irresponsible or untrustworthy. I'm certainly not trying to run a con here. I am the antithesis of con artists. And unless my friends in Australia are going to find a way to invest in what I plan on doing directly, I expect them to send somebody here to do the same thing very soon, before it's too late. But frankly, good luck finding someone with the understanding, let alone the capability, to address all the issues and coordinate the efforts. That's what I'm trying to do. I want my prototype building that will pay for itself, and I want the Great Barrier Reef Foundation to own a large percentage of all for-profit enterprises that I'm going to create. That ownership of those for-profit enterprises will help continue to fund the Great Barrier Reef's efforts. And should they take my advice and team up with the people that I propose they should to come and assist and advise and manage me, if you will, we're talking a budget increase of several billion dollars over the next 5 years, of tens of billions of dollars over the next 20 years, and an effective budget increase gauged through increase in interest and publicity that is incalculable. The very idea is to make this process of the Australians and New Zealanders coming to America and getting involved in our agriculture, to make this a thing. And there's some different little groups and different little ways we can start the interest in this. And there's frankly no time to spare, because we need to act now. We need to start the waves and get people talking, get people interested, and get people making money by cleaning up the Mississippi Delta area. Our governor's committed, our legislature's committed here in Louisiana, and our local business community will be very receptive to a local boy with a local mama, that's me, coming and meeting with different people that I already have in mind to help invest in your investments out here. But the same reservations you have about me, I expect them to have about me. But I expect people from Australia to frankly be a little bit more wise and to be a little bit more capable of listening to reason. So thanks for hearing me out, and thanks for taking this opportunity to see some of the vast plethora of evidence of all of my claims that I've continued to present these several years on this channel. I'm now going to go back to the Lost Begotten channel to continue the presentation I was doing there. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to click that like button, and share this video with anyone who you might think is interested in just kind of hearing some weird guy talk about nothing. Peace, y'all.